Hey Valley Green, it is July 1st, 2026, and this is your July 2026 market update for Valley Green. So, this month, for the month of June, there is actually no data to go over, and that's really not abnormal because in a subdivision like Valley Green, where there's very limited inventory, you're typically not going to see activity every single month. So what I want to do this month, since we don't have any new data to go over, is I have pulled a report to go over just sort of a quick review of home sales within the past 12 months. So now when I explain this, I don't like to just give statistics because that really is not very meaningful to just give statistics out. I like to relate it back to how does this affect you as a homeowner in Valley Green? So not just the statistic, but what does the statistic actually mean and indicate? So the screen here are the recent sales in the last 12 months within Valley Green. So what you're going to notice, this is one of the key indicators that I like to look at. You're going to notice that the average days on market for all the listings combined is 15 days. That is very good. The minimum number of days the house was on was 8, the most was 37. So the 37 is sort of an outlier because if you look here, you see 8, 9, 9, and 11, which is all within a few day time period. The 37 is a little bit of an outlier, bringing the average up to 15. If we took that out, the average would be much closer to right around 9 or 10. Um, so what this means, whenever you see an average days on market that's that low, it means that houses in Valley Green are moving. They're moving quickly and they're moving right away. The other key indicator I want to bring to your attention is the sale price. So, not just the price, but actually it's the percentage compared to the asking price. On average, houses in Valley Green are selling for 99% of the asking price. So, they're selling for close to the asking price and they're selling quickly. So that means that if you have a house in Valley Green right now and you're thinking about selling it, it's an excellent time to do so. You could see here that a few houses went over asking. This went for 100.7%, this one went for 101.3%, and then some went just a little bit less, 95.7, 97.2, and this one went for right around the asking price. So those are two key factors that it's important to look at. As you can see, the average sale price is 825 for in the last year. Obviously, if you've lived in Valley Green a long time, um, you've noticed that that has climbed a lot in the last 5 to 10 years. Even 5 years ago, it was way less than that. So, home prices are generally speaking, in Valley Green, they've been climbing. Houses are selling quickly, and they're selling for very close to, or even sometimes over asking. So, now I'm just gonna just quickly, because this one property is an outlier, 37 days on the market. I want to take a quick look at it so we can work through the listing and understand, well, why did this house sit for 37 days? Because everything else is selling so quickly, there's no reason for this one to have sat for that long. And that's not really a very long time, so it's not anything to be too concerned about, but it means there's a reason. There's some kind of a reason. There was some kind of a disconnect with buyers that made that house sit longer than everything else. So let's take a quick look at it here. And it is 50-50 Drummond Circle. So what I want to do first is look through the history because this sort of gives you a good outline of where things sat. So it was listed on July 23rd for 750. It was reduced on August 7th, about 2 weeks later, for 720. Then 20 days after that, August 27th, it went under contract. And then it eventually closed in January for 700,000 even. So a few things that you're going to notice. Not only did it sit on the market a long time, but the contract date to the settlement date was very long. August 27th to January 2nd. Typically in our area, around 30 days is normal. Sometimes it's longer or shorter, depending on the needs of the buyer and seller. This was over 4 months. So that indicates that there it was. I don't know what the reason was for that. It might have been the seller might have requested it, the buyer might have requested it. I don't know what the reason is. but it's a very long closing for this area. So just something to take into account. So ultimately, they ended up at 700,000. So what was the mistake here? Well, I don't know what their specific marketing plan was, so I can't go into detail with that because I don't know what specific efforts this agent made to do the marketing for this house. But what I can tell you is right off the bat, the pricing. So what sells the house is the combination of the pricing, the marketing, because that's what creates the positioning, which is the word I keep talking about, to get buyers excited. So this house was listed at 750 originally before they reduced it, and it only ended up selling for 700. Even after they lowered the price, it still sat for another 3 weeks or so before it actually went under contract. So that tells you that it was priced too high. Now they ended up getting 700, most likely because right now in Valley Green for a single family house, 700 is not really it's the lower end of the range. There's really not a lot of houses selling in that price range. Most of them are more than that at this point. So in my experience, I would say they most likely left money on the table. And I recommend checking out my YouTube video about upper Saucon sellers leaving money on the table. It goes into depth with that. But if they if they had a solid marketing plan, but they priced this house around the 700 mark to begin with right off the bat, it most likely would have went over. They probably would have got more than 700. Because it is it let let's look at the house. I actually showed this house to one of the buyers I was working with, and it really is a nice house. It needed some work, but that's typical. It was, I mean, it's not anything abnormal. It was built in 1996. It's 2,867 square feet, so it's a nice size. There was no finished basement. A lot of houses in Valley Green are larger than this one, so that's something you have to take into account. But it really was a nice house. Um, but it needed work done to it. It needed carpeting. The kitchen was not in great. It wasn't in bad shape, but it wasn't in great shape. So that doesn't make the house unsellable. It's just that you have to launch the house accordingly. So if you look here, you can see it has hardwood floors. Um, the carpets were not, like I said, in the best shape. The bathrooms were on the older side, but it doesn't make it unsellable. You just have to take everything into account when you're creating your marketing plan. You have to identify who is your buyer for this house, because someone that doesn't mind doing work to the house won't have a problem because it's not in bad shape. But if someone wants something that's really updated and remodeled and turnkey, then this is not the right house for them. So you have to take these factors into account when you're doing your pricing, but also when you're doing your marketing plan. So it's very important to take that into account. So most likely, I would say they probably did leave some money on the table. If they priced it correctly, they probably would have got and marketed correctly. Which, like I said, I don't know exactly what kind of marketing they did specifically. But if they did a good pre-launch strategy, they probably would have got around where they got or more than what they got, but in much quicker than 37 days. So that's why this particular house is an outlier in this data set. So now because there's really not any new material to go over, I just quickly want to bring to your attention again my site, nickgsellsvalleygreen.com. This is really a resource for everyone that's interested in Valley Green, as far as buyers go, or also homeowners in Valley Green. There's a lot of resources built in here. You're going to see videos, but what I really market updates, which are going to get updated every month. But what I really want to show you is this section here. These are articles that I've written specifically about Valley Green. And if you're a homeowner in Valley Green right now, these are going to answer a lot of your questions that you have before you even ask them. So definitely check these out. There's new ones published every single week. And you could see some of the latest topics here. Why neighborhood reputation matters more than many sellers think. This is very pertinent to Valley Green because Valley Green has a very established reputation. It's a neighborhood that buyers want to buy into. That sort of plays into the article that I wrote the week before, which is why buyers choose Valley Green over newer developments. This is a really interesting one because even though Valley Green is around between 20 and 30 years old, There are a lot of advantages to buying in Valley Green instead of a new construction development. There's a lot of factors that buyers need to consider. And when I work with buyers, I help them weigh that out. But arguably, Valley Green is a much better option than new construction for a lot of buyers. So this is a really good article to check out. The week before, why the first weekend matters so much for Valley Green sellers. This ties into the example I just gave you, where you don't want to see a house sitting on the market and just sitting. The first weekend is when the momentum's getting built up, and you create that urgency for buyers and the hype. So check out this website. Come back frequently because it I update it all the time with new content. I have a seller guide here for Upper Saucon sellers. So I just wanted to remind you that this resource is here for you. You could feel free to follow my YouTube channel, my Facebook, my Instagram. I'm always posting content that is specific to Upper Saucon Township and Valley Green specifically. And I hope that you found this market update helpful, and I will see you back here on August 1st.